Let's get right into it. Number 10, winning every argument. Most people treat conversations like competitions. Someone disagrees with them, and suddenly it's a battle. They'll argue for hours over something they barely care about just to not lose. But winning an argument and gaining something valuable are rarely the same thing. Think about the last argument you won completely. You demolished every point they made. They walked away defeated. What did you actually gain? Probably nothing except someone who now resents you. Meanwhile, you burned mental energy and time you'll never get back. The smartest people in history were often terrible at arguments. Einstein reportedly lost debates to colleagues who were objectively wrong. Darwin avoided confrontation almost entirely. These people changed the world, but couldn't win a shouting match. Most arguments aren't about finding truth. They're about ego protection. Two people yelling past each other while their brains actively block any information that threatens their position. Studies show that arguing actually makes people believe their original position more strongly. You're not changing minds. You're hardening them. Smart people now ask themselves one question before engaging. Will this argument improve my life or theirs in any way? If the answer is no, they just nod and move on. Their ego can handle it. Number 9, being liked by everyone. Somewhere along the way, most people picked up this idea that universal approval is possible. If they just say the right things and avoid offending anyone, everyone will like them. This is mathematically impossible. The things that make some people like you are the exact same things that make other people dislike you. Your sense of humor, your interests, your opinions, your personality, all of it attracts some and repels others. People-pleasing is actually a form of dishonesty. You're presenting a fake version of yourself to get approval. Even if it works, they don't actually like you. They like the performance. The most respected people in any field tend to have strong opinions that plenty of people disagree with. They're not trying to be controversial. They just stopped filtering themselves through the question of, what will everyone think? There's another problem with chasing universal approval. It's exhausting. You're constantly monitoring yourself, adjusting your personality for every interaction, remembering what version of yourself you presented to each person. That energy could go toward actually being interesting instead of just seeming agreeable. Number 8, having the last word. Watch any internet argument and you'll see people desperately fighting to type the final message. They'll stay up until 2 in the morning just to make sure they posted last. As if having the last word means you won something. In reality, having the last word usually means you cared the most about a conversation that didn't matter. The person who walked away first actually won. They got their time back. The need for the last word comes from insecurity. It's the same impulse that makes people interrupt others. They can't stand letting someone else's words hang in the air unchallenged. Their ego experiences it as a loss, but when you let someone else have the last word, nothing happens. The conversation ends. The world keeps spinning. Your life continues exactly as it would have if you'd spent another hour typing responses. Some of the most powerful moves in any negotiation involve strategic silence, letting the other person talk themselves out, not responding to provocations. The person who can stay quiet when their ego is screaming at them to respond has real control. Number 7, proving themselves to doubters. There's this fantasy that drives a lot of people. Someone doubted them once, and now they're going to achieve massive success just to prove that person wrong. They imagine the moment when their doubter sees how wrong they were. This is one of the most toxic forms of motivation that exists. You're letting someone who doesn't care about you control your entire life direction. Most doubters don't remember you exist. They made an offhand comment years ago and forgot about it immediately. You've been carrying it around like a sacred mission while they don't even remember your name. Even if you do achieve massive success, the satisfaction of proving them wrong lasts about 5 minutes. Then you realize you spent years working towards someone else's validation instead of your own goals. The most successful people work toward their own standards. They might use doubt as initial fuel, but they quickly convert it into internal motivation. The goal becomes excellence itself, not the look on someone's face when they see it. Number 6, keeping up with trends. Every week there's something new you're supposed to care about. A new app, a new show everyone's watching, a new thing you need to have an opinion on. Most people exhaust themselves trying to have an opinion on everything. They're terrified of being out of the loop. That fear of missing out is profitable for companies. They want you checking constantly, refreshing endlessly, always slightly anxious that you're falling behind. But most trends don't matter. That show everyone was obsessed with 3 months ago? Nobody talks about it anymore. That app that was going to change everything, half your friends already deleted it. Smart people became selective about what they let into their attention. They might follow one or two areas deeply, while completely ignoring everything else. They're fine with saying, "I don't know what that is," when someone references the latest thing. Their identity doesn't depend on being current. The people who actually shape culture are usually too busy creating to keep up with consuming. Number 5, others' opinions of their hobbies. Most people keep their weird hobbies secret. They'll spend hours doing something they genuinely love, then feel embarrassed to mention it. They've internalized this idea that certain interests are acceptable and others are embarrassing. But judging someone's hobbies is one of the most pointless activities possible. Someone thinks your interest in bird watching is boring. Someone thinks your collection is weird. These opinions have exactly zero impact on how much enjoyment you get from these activities. The judgment says more about the person judging than about your hobby. People mock what they don't understand or what makes them feel insecure about their own lack of passion. The happiest people tend to have at least one interest they pursue without any concern for how it looks. They're not doing it for social media. They're not doing it because it's trendy. They just genuinely enjoy it. That kind of authentic engagement with life is increasingly rare. Number 4, looking busy. Modern culture has this obsession with busyness. People brag about how little they sleep, how packed their schedule is, how they haven't taken a vacation in years. Being busy became a status symbol, like being busy proves you're important. This is completely backwards. The most productive people often have significant empty space in their schedules. They protect their time aggressively precisely because it's valuable. Looking busy and being productive are often opposites. Looking busy usually means you're bad at prioritizing, bad at saying no, or trapped in a system that values presence over output. Actually, getting important things done requires focused time, which requires not being constantly busy with minor tasks. There's also the performance aspect. Many people aren't actually that busy. They just talk about being busy because they think it makes them seem important. Being effective for 4 focused hours beats looking busy for 12 chaotic ones. Number 3, being the smartest in the room. Early in life, being the smartest person around feels important. You get validation from having the right answers, from solving problems others can't. But this is actually a warning sign. If you're consistently the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong rooms. Growth happens at the edges of your competence, when you're around people who know things you don't. The discomfort of feeling average or below average is actually the feeling of learning. People who need to be the smartest in every room stop growing. They seek out situations where they'll look good, rather than situations where they'll get better. They optimize for ego protection instead of development. The most successful people actively seek out rooms where they feel stupid. They want to be around people who challenge them, who know things they don't, who see flaws in their thinking. The temporary ego hit is worth the long-term growth. Number 2, fitting into groups that don't fit them. Most people contort themselves to belong to groups that don't actually suit them. They pretend to like things they don't like, hide opinions that might cause friction, perform a version of themselves that the group will accept. This works for a while, but eventually becomes exhausting. Belonging to the wrong group is worse than belonging to no group. You're constantly performing, constantly hiding parts of yourself, never fully relaxed. Even when you're surrounded by people, you feel alone because they don't actually know you. They know the character you play. Finding people who accept the real version of you is harder, but infinitely more valuable. It might mean having fewer friends. It might mean leaving communities you've been part of for years. But the connections you do have become real instead of performances. Number 1, explaining themselves to people who don't want to understand. This might be the biggest energy drain there is. Someone misunderstands you or your choices. You feel compelled to explain, to clarify, to make sure the other person gets it. So you explain thoroughly and carefully, only to realize the person never wanted to understand in the first place. Some people ask questions not because they want answers, but because they want to express disapproval disguised as curiosity. Why would you do that isn't a real question. It's a statement that they think you shouldn't do that. No explanation will satisfy them because they were never seeking understanding. Learning to identify these situations quickly saves enormous amounts of time. You cannot reason someone out of a position they didn't reason themselves into. If someone has already decided you're wrong, no amount of explanation will change their mind. It'll just drain you. The freedom from this is significant. You stop feeling obligated to justify your choices to everyone. You save your explanations for people who are genuinely curious. Everyone else gets a shrug and a smile. That's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, I'll be making more like it in the future.